Ruby River. It would take a hitch of 8 mules or oxen coupled with 3 wagons to make the trek along the Whoop-Up Trail. The shipping charges were great for the haul, and miners and settlers paid with broken backs as they built sluices to mine the gold. Jeff had been watching the freight company as it was starting up and figured the money being paid to the teller was worth more than the gold. He became obsessed with the idea of stealing it. He picked a hot, dry day and was counting on most men being out of town working the sluices. Lucas and Matt were playing a few hands of poker at the Golden Eagle Saloon when Lucas finished his hand and folded. He uttered something about bad luck and left the table. He went outside and stood on the porch of the saloon and looked over at the freight office. Matt remained inside, finishing up the last deal. He figured his brother was itching to leave, so he would join him as soon as his hand was played. The day was exceptionally hot for September in Montana, and this might have been what set Lucas off the most, because he was not thinking clearly the way his father had taught him. He spotted Jeff Manning leaning against a post in front of the freight office. Jeff looked down the street and saw little activity. On one side, a few people were walking in and out of stores and the saloon. On the other side was Townsend's freight office, with its stables, wagons, and a small warehouse and office. When Jeff saw Lucas come out of the saloon, he made his move and went into the freight office. Once inside, he watched unnoticed until the last person left, then pulled his bandana up over his nose and drew his .44. He pointed the barrel in the clerk's face and demanded the money. When Lucas saw Jeff back out of the freight office, he untied his horse and Matt's and walked them across the street to meet Jeff. Matt was coming out of the saloon when he saw Lucas across the street with their horses. "Hey, brother," he yelled out. "Where you headed?" Lucas ignored him as he nervously readied Matt's horse for Jeff to ride. Jeff dashed out of the freight office with a saddlebag full of money and his pistol raised in the air. He whipped the saddlebag onto Matt's horse and started to climb into the saddle when Matt, realizing that a robbery was going on, ran up to him and pulled him down. Jeff's gun discharged, sending a bullet through the plate glass window of McDougal's store across the street. Reverend George Reardon, a middle-aged preacher, was driving his horse and buggy to visit a parishioner when the shots frightened his horse, which reared up and fell back onto the buggy. Jeff's pistol repeated, and a bullet tore through the preacher's back. Reardon's body slumped in the seat of his buggy as the horse frantically attempted to free itself from its harness. The freight clerk threw open his door and yelled, "I've been robbed!" Seeing Jeff, he slammed the door and dropped to the floor. Jeff fired at the clerk, hit the door, and smashed it. The clerk froze in his prone position, feeling the echo of the gunshots like great blasts from howitzers. What Jeff had not considered was that the temporary sheriff, Samuel Whitey Wiseman, in town with his ranch hand, Freddie Fenton, was buying supplies at McDougal's store. The sheriff ran out of the store with his ranch hand when they heard the shots. It took the two men a few seconds to understand that a robbery was taking place. The sheriff's large voice boomed across the street. "Hold it, you men there! I'm the sheriff!" He quickly drew his revolver from its holster and aimed it at a stunned Lucas. Freddie stepped to Whitey's side and aimed his shotgun at the confusion of horses and men. Jeff climbed back onto Matt's horse and spurred him into a fast, out-of-control gallop towards Whitey and his deputy. Jeff fired his .44 wildly at the two men, but missed. Freddie fired at short range, scattering shotgun pellets at the masked robber. Jeff's body fell backwards off the horse and landed on the sidewalk at Whitey's feet. Because he was Matt's size and wearing Matt's clothes, Whitey quickly identified the dead robber as Matt Anderson. Lucas was back in the stirrups and mounted when another shot rang out from across the street. The sheriff shot him in the shoulder, jerking him off his horse and onto the ground. His horse careened into the preacher's buggy. Matt quickly ran to Lucas's side, hidden from the sheriff's view by the buggy and Reverend Reardon's horse trying to free itself. Realizing that shots were ringing dirt all around him, he yelled, "In the saddle, Lucas!" Matt picked Lucas up and put him on his horse, slapping the horse's backside to get him moving. Dodging bullets, Matt tried to climb into the saddle behind him, but the horse was already galloping.